Hey everybody. Just a nice little note on how to make your pull-offs nice and snappy. Okay, so when it comes to your pull-offs, one of the questions I just got in one of the videos here earlier was, how do I make sure and know which way to go with my pull-off? Because if I'm working with a 2 to 3, like there we go. If I'm working with a 2 to 3 pull-off, how do I make sure that's going to be absolutely nice and clean? Do I pull off up? Do I pull off down? And the answer is, it depends. So generally the way that I learned and what I was taught is you want to pull off your finger either up or down in the opposite direction of where you're picking next, because the issue is if I'm picking the next string and I pull off and touch that string, it's not going to come out right. Okay, so like if I'm playing this 3 to 2 slide out of that alternating thumb roll, if I pull down the way I'm doing, there's a chance that I can touch that B string and not get a real nice sound out of it. Okay, so what I've learned from an early age is that if I'm playing the 3-2-3-1 sequence with the pull off, I've always pulled up. So it feels like you're kind of flicking the string with your finger, and it might be easy to see, it might be kind of difficult. There we go, a little focus. You can see that I've been playing enough. I actually have a callus that's kind of got a nice little edge to it, so I can, or a groove in there in several of them. So when you get a nice groove in your callus, they'll naturally get a little more snappier. I've always pulled up. In other words, my finger momentum is going against my next note, so that way I'm not interfering with that string. Now that said, you can pull off any note off of any string on this entire fretboard. However, there's going to be several that are really, really popular. The 3-2 is probably the most useful. Then also there is a nice little snap pull off right here that comes off of the 2 open. So for the camera, you just take and snap and pull. Now, if I were to pull up in this case, sometimes it comes off great, sometimes it doesn't. I've always pulled down because, well, you can get extra snappy for one. Your hand momentum is going to travel away from the rest of your strings, so you're not going to interfere. And also, if you really, really want to pop that note out, you can kind of make that string jump off the fret a little bit. Just make sure it doesn't go under the fret. Also, conversely, I can do the same thing up here on the 4th string with this 2 open pull off right here. I bet you weren't ready for that sound. I'm in drop C right now. Okay, so this is a very, very common pull off as well, and I've always pulled that one up. Because I want to make sure my fingers are traveling away from the strings. Okay, so if I'm playing this 2 open pull off on the 4th string, chances are my next note is either going to be on the 3rd or the 2nd string, and I want to make sure that my finger, because if I pull down, there's a chance I'm going to touch that string next in my next note coming out. Okay, so I've always decided to pull away from the board, or pull out really. So I want to pull up on that one. I've gotten in the habit of pulling down there. I've also gotten in the habit of pulling up on a 3-2 slide. Some people pull up, some people pull down. I am not a down puller. I can't do it. I'm not talented enough for that. There's also a very useful pull off you'll hear in a lot of power picking where they will pull off the D7. It's also a snappy way to get into an A minor. I've always pulled that one up. So there's a 1 open pull off. Usually it's done with your index finger on the 2nd string. And almost always your next note is going to be the A note on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. There we go. But I want to make sure I'm not going to hit it. So my personal habit, I've worked on getting my finger speed if I'm playing in a D chord to make sure that my fingers are going to be in the right spot. So I've always had a habit of pulling up there. So up, 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 down. Now I'm in drop C right here. There's a very useful pull off right here out of C. Okay, so there I had 2 pull-offs. Here's a 4-3. I pulled that one up. Here was one to resolve. I pulled off the second open 3rd string. All right, so chances are it just depends.